Hello everyone, how's it going? It's been a minute. I was not around over the weekend. I was on vacation, and that's why I didn't post anything this week. And also it was CPI this week, and so I didn't feel that it was really worth doing any kind of bias. But we still have a couple days left in the week, and thought I might share my thoughts now that CPI is over and the market's moving pretty nicely. So let's just talk about it. So what did we get with CPI? Or at least what did we get yesterday? And also, how did CPI factor into that? Well, can't remember what I said last. I think I was still bullish dollar after this move, but that was obviously wrong as it went lower. And that's fine. So once price broke this level here, we started seeking, we were already seeking, but it was clear that we were seeking the lows, PD, a discount basically. And the next, from this point in time, the next PD array, next discount was this weekly fair value gap on the dollar. And of course the liquidity resting here that which created the high of the fair value gap. And so that's what we started running towards, and that's what we ended up tagging yesterday. And there was some corresponding arrays in the other markets that were paired. I guess I don't even know what the word would be, but basically there was corresponding liquidity levels that the other markets reached as dollar reached that weekly discount. So EU reached into this weekly fair value gap, GU reached into the previous month's high and a monthly fair value gap, Aussie dollar reached into this May high, completing a market maker buy model there. New Zealand dollar reached into the top of the fair value gap on the daily, which is a void fill straight from ICT textbook material there. Dollar CAD had already reached this external low, but pushed down even further. And we have dollar yen. It didn't reach anything, but it looks like it's actually seeking this weekly fair value gap potentially. What else? Yesterday, nothing else. So that all happened alongside this move before CPI, and that's what so yesterday I traded. I traded based off of that. So my trade yesterday was the model that I've been hinting at on this channel. Basically we had, here's the price leg that created, this price leg creates an expansion here. So this is, I'll just go to replay mode just so I can show it. And if you need proof, I can show you my trade, but whatever. You have expansion leg here, and then in the London session, so once you see the expansion, you start to identify a discount fair value, which we have here. And so this is a discount fair value array inside the expansion leg. You're looking for price after the expansion to consolidate and then raid short-term liquidity, which is this level, into a discount array. Okay, and now if you go back at my previous videos, you'll hear me mentioning this model, so I promise it's not a fairy tale. But anyways, so once you see that stab into that discount, at that point, that's when you start thinking about ICT's order pairing, right, where smart money's taking on this liquidity here that was existing clearly in the marketplace. They plan to offset that liquidity at the external level, which is here. Okay, so this fair value gap corresponds to this external level. Okay, that's a bunch of that's a big gem there if you can take the time to understand what I just said. But I'm just going to keep going. So after price comes down into the discount, you want to see a shift in structure to sort of give you that final confirmation, and that's what I waited for. I like to do, if it's an H4 fair value gap, I like to look for a 15-minute market structure shift, and that's what we got in London. So think about what's here, right? You have a raid on the London closed lows, which is the consolidation, into a fair value gap at about 2 o'clock in the London session. That is textbook sort of template for a possible buy day. And you have a target, which is the external high, right? So once I got the shift, I was like, okay, this is reasonable to go higher. Then I got long, and eventually we reached up into that level and then some. The other element to the model is the presence of an outside external objective, which in this case is the weekly fair value gap up here. Okay, so we reached that. I cut my trades at the external level because that's the most reliable. And if you want something to study, you can take a look at this raid on short-term liquidity here. It's a fractal of this whole thing that I just described. So take a look at that on the lower time frames, because that's your OTE entry for the New York session. Okay. Anyway, so let's continue with bias and kind of analysis and all that good stuff. That's what happened yesterday. And then CPI, I didn't trade CPI. I'm not trying to trade CPI. Don't feel that it's very easy to do, so didn't trade it. All right, cool. So what do we think is going to happen? Well, I think we're in a situation where we can go either way. That's not helpful, is it? Let's just take a look, right? We have potentially retraced this expansion into the weekly discount array. So let's actually look at it on the weekly chart. All right. So we made this expansion. We retraced into the weekly fair value gap. If we see a strong shift on the daily time frame, especially above this daily swing high, I would expect us to go up to 104.692 on the dollar. But that's a ways away. I'm considering personally the fact that we have already shifted on the 4-hour as a potential sign for bullishness. Okay. And so what's my formula for a market reversal? That's the important question. For me, a market reversal can happen off of anything higher than a daily PD array. A weekly PD array counts. So a reversal can happen off of a run on liquidity, which is this low here, into a PD array, point of interest, which is exactly the model that I just showed on Euro from yesterday, except now it's on the weekly chart. Okay. So you need that, and then you also need the market structure shift on a good time frame, so 4-hour daily. So if we consider this as a market structure shift, so you see the raid, the run into the discount here, and then we've expanded higher. If this is a shift, which ideally it goes a little higher in order to make a long-term call, but we could potentially see this. This could potentially be the smart money reversal point for a larger market maker buy model, that kind of thing. Okay. Potentially, right? So let's see what happens. Do we stay strong? Once we can kind of get up here, I would be bullish for sure. Right now, I'm kind of waiting. We have red news in New York today, but you know what? I'm waiting to see what happens. Basically, if we consolidate until that news, and then raid during the news, and do like a little shift, I would be bullish. I would be short-term bullish, potentially longer-term bullish on dollar. So that's kind of my bias. As for bearishness, I find it difficult to take any shorts at this from this point when the market has already tagged this key level and it's sort of shifted higher. So I wouldn't be able to easily take shorts from here. I mean, I'm not looking for shorts. I'm kind of like, my mindset is wait and see, but I see the potential to go higher. And the reason, I guess the other important factor is that you need cross-market analysis to agree with you, right? So we have key levels hit, which I just went over on all these other majors. And we're seeing similar things in terms of hitting those levels and potentially rejecting. So for EU, if we could break this low, I'd really like to see that. And then we have a low resistance liquidity run down to the low. And that's a swing trade, right? So that could be really nice. And it's a similar thing in GU where we took out that high. We haven't quite shifted just yet, right? This would be like the absolute key level to shift off of. But this one could be a potential. But it's not for sure, right? And that's why I'm saying I'm not dying to trade right now. I'm kind of waiting, and that's cool because yesterday was really nice and clear. Yeah, so that's pretty much it. You can look at the other markets to see. Aussie still looks a bit strong. New Zealand looks kind of weak to me. Yeah, New Zealand's definitely weaker. Dollar CAD is a little funky. I mean, we took out this key level, which is the external low. Sorry for the background noise as well. Took that out, which is really great. If we could shift above this, that would be awesome. At the same time, I'm well aware that there are additional lows down here in close proximity, so it's kind of iffy in that sense. And then, of course, dollar yen has this level up here they might want to push up into. Now, gold, I think, looks likely to continue lower, at least down into this fair value gap, take out this low at 1936. I would expect that to happen soon. Could be wrong, but that's what I would expect. And then platinum has been great and bearish. We called this. I don't know if I can say that I called it. I said I would expect it. Like I've been bearish since this raid on May 22nd, basically. And then it's not enough to just be bearish. You can't just like short it all day long. You need setups, right? So all these raids were good setups to go lower to their short-term external lows. And now we're in a situation where we have expanded again. And so, I've already got that. We've expanded again. We have additional targets outside the expansion. We would look for a retracement into some level of fair value eventually to happen, if at all. It doesn't have to happen. And then we could short it again. And then we would have to get out at whatever the external low is. And you can always hold partials to go lower. Sorry, my voice is a bit dry here. Copper, not sure. I mean, it's bullish for now, but it could reverse off of this daily fair value gap, or it could keep going higher. Kind of in a I don't know situation. And for the indices, oh my god, it's just so bullish. OMG, is it bullish or what? And this is just the kind of thing you just don't stand in front of this. You just wait for them to shake out some weak bulls, and then you get on board. And so we have these big gaps here. We might want to come back down into those. That would shake some people out. You basically just look for shakeouts to get on board. And I would just never short this. There's just no way. If you're trying to short the indices, you're insane. Okay, you're retail minded, and you're thinking And that's just a stupid thing to do. Don't do that. Unless it's like short-term scalping. Okay. And then what else we got? Yeah, DAX. Sorry, this is real messy. DAX is pretty near this high. This is this all-time high? Yeah. So DAX is going to be in all-time highs here pretty soon. And that makes sense if it gets up to this high. So it'll keep going, I'm sure. And then that leads us to Bitcoin. Now, classically, Bitcoin has a pretty good correlation with the indices, although sometimes it lags behind. And right now it's retracing. It's not bearish. On the if you go to the weekly or monthly, it's really not bearish. It's retracing. Okay, and the question is, when is it going to turn around? And I don't know. I mean, I would expect it to turn around suddenly and quickly and leave everyone in the dirt, sort of like what it did right here on this big candle. That's usually what it does. Like here, it looked really scary. Oh, didn't mean to do that. Here, it looked real scary on this retracement, and then it just went and left everyone behind. So what I'm looking for is something like that, where it expands out of this retracement, and then I would buy some spot, honestly, because this is a lower resistance liquidity run, and this is just the classic retracement play. So I expect it to go higher, personally. I'd expect it to follow the indices. It seems like it's just they're using the Binance SEC lawsuit FUD to get people bearish on Bitcoin, but I think it's bullish personally, and like, but yeah, not financial advice, right? So, anyways, it's kind of my thoughts on the present market at the moment. Hope it's clear. Feel free to give me some feedback if I'm not being clear, or if you think I'm going too fast, whatever. Hope you guys have a good one. We'll see what happens today and tomorrow, and hopefully catch you next week. Goodbye.